Another divine revelation came many years later. This time it came to Daniel himself, but not with ease. Babylon was still the dominant power in the world. Belshazzar inherited the kingdom after his father, Nebuchadnezzar, died. Daniel has faithfully served under these Babylonian kings for years. He's now in his 60s as he related this awesome and terrifying revelation. It came to Daniel in dreams and visions, in his mind as he lay on his bed. Fortunately for us, he learned from the mistakes the king made, and he wrote the dream down right away before he forgot it and related the summary of it. We'll pick up the story right here in verse 2. I was looking in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea. And four great beasts were coming up from the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion, and had the wings of an eagle. I kept looking until its wings were plucked, and it was lifted up from the ground and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. A human mind also was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second one, resembling a bear, and it was raised up on one side, and 3 ribs were in its mouth between its teeth. And thus they said to it, Arise, devour much meat. After this I kept looking, and behold, another one, like a leopard, which had on its back 4 wings of a bird. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I kept looking in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrifying and extremely strong, and it had large iron teeth. It devoured and crushed and trampled down the remainder with its feet. And it was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. While I was contemplating the horns, behold, another horn, a little one, came up among them, and 3 of the first horns were pulled out by the roots before it. And behold, this horn possessed eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth uttering great boasts. A lion, a bear, a leopard, and a 4th beast that was different from the rest. This 4th beast was so off the chart grotty and monstrous that it did not resemble any of the beasts from the animal kingdom that we know of. It was dreadful, terrifying, extremely strong. It had large iron teeth and 10 horns. What in the world is this? How are we to make any sense of it? But wait, because the vision was not finished. Let's see if we can gain understanding by reading further. I kept looking until thrones were set up, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His vesture was like the white snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was ablaze with flames. Its wheels were a burning fire. It hardly fits our imagination, doesn't it? We haven't seen anything like it. And if you think this is strange and out of the ordinary, wait, there is more. A river of fire was flowing and coming out from before him. Thousands upon thousands were attending him, and myriads upon myriads were standing before him. The court sat, and the books were opened. Right after the colorful display of the 4 beasts, a significant shift takes place. Thrones were set up, the court sat, books were opened, and judgment took place. The beast was slain, its body was destroyed, and given to the burning fire. All dominion, the glory, and kingdom was given to one like a son of man, a new kingdom that will not pass away. As you can imagine, Daniel was distressed. He was alarmed. He, just like you and I, wanted to know what it was all about. I approached one of those who were standing by and began asking him the exact meaning of all this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of these things. These great beasts, which are 4 in number, are 4 kings who will arise from the earth. But the saints of the highest one will receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, for all ages to come. Okay, that was plain and simple. 4 great beasts equal 4 kings and their kingdoms, which will arise from the earth. A turning point in history takes place when the saints of the Highest One will receive the kingdom and possess it for all ages to come. Daniel was clear on who the saints of the Highest One were. These were his own people, the Jews, joined by another group of which we don't have time to discuss right now. But remember, he was taken captive to a foreign land ruled by a pagan king, so the saints must be his own people, who will finally possess the kingdom and be a leader among the nations, just like they were, or just like had been in the past during the golden age under the rule of King David and King Solomon. But what Daniel was still confused about was the 4th beast. Then I desired to know the exact meaning of the 4th beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with its teeth of iron and its claws of bronze, and which devoured, crushed and trampled down the remainder with its feet. And the meaning of the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn which came up, and before which 3 of them fell, namely the horn which had eyes and a mouth, uttering great boasts, and which was larger in appearance than its associates. Why was Daniel so concerned about this 4th beast? He surely wanted to know more about it. He didn't seem to be preoccupied about the other 3 beasts before it. Secondly, he wanted to know more about the 10 horns on its head. What's up with them? And lastly, the little horn which came up among the 10, namely the horn which had eyes and a mouth and grew larger than the rest. The reason I believe Daniel was so preoccupied with this 4th beast, 10 horns and the little horn that came among them, was because he knew the moment these figures appear on the scene, it won't be long and the Ancient of Days will come. Judgment will be passed in favor of the saints of the Highest One, and the saints will take possession of the kingdom forever. And because Daniel insisted to find out, it was open to him. The 4th beast will be a 4th kingdom on the earth, which will be different from all the other kingdoms and will devour the whole earth and tread it down and crush it. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings will arise, and another will arise after them, and he will be different from the previous ones and will subdue 3 kings. He will speak out against the Most High and wear down the saints of the Highest One, and he will intend to make alterations in times and in law. And they will be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time. But the court will sit for judgment, and his dominion will be taken away, annihilated, and destroyed forever. Then the sovereignty, the dominion, greatness of all the kingdoms under the whole heaven will be given to the people of the saints of the Highest One. His kingdom will be an everlasting kingdom, and all the dominions will serve and obey him. At this point, the revelation ended. Let's stop for a moment and reason together. 4 ferocious beasts, different from one another, represented 4 earthly kingdoms ruled by earthly kings. Didn't we look at another 4 kingdoms in part 1 of this video session when we read about the great and awesome statue? The head of gold is the Babylonian Empire. Breasts and arms of silver represents a second kingdom inferior to Babylon. Belly and the thighs of bronze, a third kingdom which will rule over all the earth. Legs of iron and feet partly of iron and partly of clay, a fourth kingdom as strong as iron. The question arose, did this vision of the 4 beasts and the vision of the statue mean one and the same thing or not? And if they did mean the same thing, how can we put them all together and make sense of it all? And the answer lies in the text. You continued looking until a stone was cut out without hands, and it struck the statue on its feet of iron and clay and crushed them. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed all at the same time. But the stone that struck the statue became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. In the days of those kings, that is 10 toes, 10 kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed. It will crush and put an end to all these kingdoms, but it will itself endure forever. The stone that struck the statue on its feet of iron and clay translates into God of heaven will set up a kingdom which will never be destroyed. Then I kept looking because of the sound of the boastful words which the horn, that is this king, was speaking. I kept looking until the beast was slain, and its body was destroyed and given to the burning fire. And behold, with the clouds of heaven, one like a son of man was coming, and to him was given dominion, glory, and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations of men of every language might serve him. It has become clear as day that this cannot possibly be 8 kingdoms, but only 4. And the power of the 4th kingdom is suddenly broken when the little horn with eyes and a mouth uttering great boasts appears on the scene. So these 2 visions mean one and the same thing. Let's break them down. A winged lion, the drawing is a courtesy of my son Samuel, that was clear for Daniel. It may not have been clear for us at first, but it was clear for him because he saw this image before. The winged lion was the symbol of Babylon. It was displayed on their flag, on the walls inside the processional way. Daniel didn't need much explanation to identify who the winged lion was, just like anyone in the 21st century can easily recognize these symbols, right? So we're clear on who the winged lion is. It's Babylon, the head of gold. Now remember the legs of iron, the feet and toes, partly of iron and partly of clay? Could it be that the 4th beast, which was extremely strong and had iron teeth and 10 horns on its head, be the same 4th kingdom with iron legs and 10 toes? It is one and the same. It's the final earthly kingdom ruled by an earthly king. But we were not told yet who this kingdom was. What we are about to discover, though, in our next session together is who the bear and the winged leopard were. And I'll also introduce to you the prototype of the soon-to-come antichrist. You'll be amazed at what you can learn from this next 8-minute video session together. Hang in there.